We need to get going, and I'm so sorry that I'm on jury duty. It's been an experience. I'll explain it another time. I'm not allowed to say much about it, but anywho, we need to move on to your Sgrafitto tiles. So I'm doing a quick video demonstration. Please make sure you're paying attention. You will need to go back to the kiln room on your own to get your tile. You may only go back in the kiln room 2 at a time. The sub can decide what 2 people go at a time. You need to make sure that you're going in the back door. And then you're coming out the front door. So it should circle around 2 at a time. Don't just keep the circle going. Once you get your tile, do not touch anybody else's tile back there. Grab your tile, come out, set down. You can use a small cup, about 1 cup per table, which means 2 cups per pod. Make sure you're sharing. And please have the sub pour out your guys' glaze. I don't want any students pouring it out just because I don't want you to have to be responsible if it accidentally spills. This is your clear transparent glaze. It is pink until it goes through the kiln. You will figure this out with all glazes. The color that is in the container, the color that it looks when you paint it on your piece is not the color it will come out when it comes out of the kiln. So this right here, it is clear transparent. I promise it will come out clear even though when you paint it on it's pink. I wore my pink hat just to match. So you will not need too much glaze, but again, let the sub pour this out. Just need a little less than half a cup should be enough for your table. Then you will grab a paintbrush. I would recommend grabbing a paintbrush with some firmer bristles on it. That way when you are painting, you really can get into those grooves of your Sgrafitto tile. So I'm going to take my glaze and just get myself a nice coat. And I'm going to go ahead and start my first coat of clear glaze. Again, it's going to look pink. I am going to make sure that I am filling in my grooves. And notice that the first coat is still actually extremely transparent. So for the most part, I can still see everything design-wise going on. I'm making sure that the glaze is sitting into those grooves. Because you carved those grooves out, sometimes the glaze bubbles over them and it doesn't actually sink into those grooves. So here I am just keeping a nice even thin coat on my tile, and I'm going to do that all the way across. I'm going to try to speed this up for you since I know this is going to be a long little video. Okay, don't go as quick as I'm going. I'm only going quick just for the sake of getting this done. After I have done my first coat, I'm going to make sure everything is smoothed out. I don't want any chunky areas or any areas that are thicker than another area. And then I'm going to let this dry. While this is drying, I'm going to go ahead and start to add a little bit of the glaze on the edges of my tile. But just a little bit. It's totally okay if that glaze starts to get onto the tablecloth a little bit. As you guys can tell, the tablecloths get dirty. That's okay. That's why they're there. So I'm just going right around my edges, getting, again, a nice smooth coat. And while I'm doing my edges, what's actually happening on the top is that the top is starting to dry and become a little bit more opaque. And opaque just means you can't see through it as well. So think about glass, like a glass window is totally transparent, whereas a door is opaque. You can't see through it. So that's the difference. So at this point, it is dried. I can feel my top. It's totally dry. I'll show you. It has gotten a little bit more pink. So there we go. Nice and dry. Then I can go ahead and start my second coat. So in total, you will need 3 coats on the top and 3 coats on the edges. The trick about glazing is you may not glaze the bottom. If glaze ends up on the bottom, what will happen is it will glue itself to the kiln shelf. The kiln shelves cost about $50 a pop. So if your tile gets glued to the kiln shelf, which I wouldn't even put it in the kiln and fire it, but let's say accidentally it got put in there, then you would be responsible for buying that. That money would go onto your account. So just double check that you don't do that. It's not a big deal. Wipe the glaze right off the bottom. All you have to do is take a sponge, make sure it's a little bit wet. I'll give you an example. Let's say, oops, I got some glaze on the back of my tile. Darn. No big deal. I'm just going to go ahead and take a sponge and I'm just going to rub it right off. So boom, gone. Actually, I did get a little bit of glaze down here in the corner, and that's the area that you want to watch out for, those edges, those corners. So I can go through again and just wipe that right off the edges. I would always double check your work before putting it on the cart when you're glazing it. Even if you don't think you glazed the bottom, like right there, I didn't think I glazed the bottom, but a little bit dripped under. So I went ahead and caught it. So this is already starting to dry out, but it is still a little bit shiny, as you can tell. So I'm gonna let that wait out a little bit more. You should not put more than 4 coats on. No more than 4 coats. But you have to at least have 3. So that is the Sgrafitto tile glazing demonstration. Again, only the sub should be pouring your clear glaze. The clear glaze needs to go back into a bag that I will provide at my desk at the end of the bell. That way the next Ceramics 1 class can go ahead and continue using your guys' cups. But you need to make sure you wash your own paintbrushes out. So wash the paintbrushes out, return them to the paintbrush cup, and this glaze will go back into a small bag on my desk with the sub. If you guys have any questions or concerns, continue to email me. Thank you to all of those students who have been emailing me and reminding me, like, hey, I turned this in. Can you update my grade? I am on my email at least once a day, so I will get back to you guys. And just continue to strive through this week, and I will be back on the 25th. All right, miss you guys. See you soon. Bye.